times if I could turn back time, and she has done that. But what about you? What would you love to become young again? Who wouldn't? I know I would. To be able to reverse time, how to do it. Well, today we are going to be talking to Dr. William Davis. As you know, he is the genius behind Wheat Belly series, Undoctored, and also Super Gut. As you remember that we did the Super Gut course together, which was a huge success. We learned so much from Dr. Davis week after week, and it's still available if you want to purchase it at whenyouneedafriend.com. But today we're going to be talking about our body styles, our body types, and how it can reverse our aging process. But he's going to tell us even more, because it is time for us to take 2024 and bring us back to 24. So just hang on, stay tuned, because it's just take lots of notes today, because it's going to be a great conversation with Dr. William Davis. Hi, my name is Lillian McDermott, and I am a certified life coach and the host of the Lillian McDermott radio show, Classroom. If this is the first time that you've joined us for 2024, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Yes, so today's topic is on becoming younger. How do you do it? Well, we're going to be excited to reintroduce you to Dr. William Davis, because it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge. And I'm grateful that he is here. You're one of my first guests in 2024, Dr. Davis. I just wanted to make sure that it was you that was leading us and guiding us to this wonderful year.
Happy that was
New
nice,
Year.
Lily. Thank you.
Yeah, and Happy New Year, Dr. Davis.
You too.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's get started. Becoming young again. Who doesn't want that? So how does this all work with our lifestyle? What can we do to reverse time?
Well, you and I have had this conversation in the past, but let me go over it again. It began with my effort to cultivate a specific microbe called Lactobacillus reuteri, Reuteri, based on some experiments conducted at MIT in Boston, where they stumbled on a series of observations that when this microbe was given to mice, old mice, they regained many youthful features, like thicker fur, thicker skin, acceleration of healing, increased mating behavior. They even gave a bunch of mice a poor diet, meant to mimic a fast food diet. And they gave some of the mice this microbe and some of them no microbe. The ones who didn't get the microbe got fat and old and lost their hair. They got lazy. They didn't play with other mice. The mice who had a crappy diet but got the reuteri stayed slender and young. And they died young. That is, they stayed young until the end of their lives. And so I took that and started playing around with it in humans, in myself first. And I saw a lot of these things play out in real life. So I had people, we can get that microbe commercially. You can buy it, but it's made for babies. The tablet, the product's made for babies. And so the dose of microbes is very low. So I reasoned, let's increase it via fermentation. So we do that, and it looks and smells like yogurt. It's not yogurt, of course, Lily. It looks and smells like yogurt. It's nothing like the stuff you buy in stores. I developed a special method of prolonged fermentation, adding a prebiotic fiber. It's like fertilizer. Mm-hmm. And we get hundreds of billions of counts. So we increase the number of microbes about 1,000-fold. And I have thousands of people doing this, and all the effects seen in mice. This often doesn't happen, where something you see in mice doesn't always translate to human experience. But we're seeing all the same things happen in humans. Ladies love it because they lose their wrinkles, their fine wrinkles around their eyes and mouth. And over a longer period of time, the deeper nasolabial fold and forehead wrinkles. Guys love it because it increases muscle mass and strength. It preserves bone density. It increases libido. Males experience about a 50% rise in testosterone blood levels.
Mm.
There's an acceleration of healing. There's also a bunch of social effects because a lot of the effects are exerted through the hormone oxytocin. People think of oxytocin as the hormone of love and empathy, the one that goes up when you hug somebody close to you or pet your dog. Well, those are transient. That does nothing for your long-term health or body composition. We want prolonged, dramatic increases in oxytocin. That's what this reuteri does. But among the effects are social effects, a reduction in anxiety in social settings, a desire for human connection, an increase in the intensity of love and affection, increased generosity, and acceptance of other people's opinions. So it was so interesting that, but the ladies all say, we just want the skin effects, which always surprises me. So I did a small human clinical trial where we gave that microbe, but I combined it with some other things because I wanted to see what happened to skin. This all started as a skin project, Lily, and we did our clinical trial, and we did indeed document a dramatic increase in dermal thickness. That's the layer just below the epidermis. That's where skin health really resides, in the dermal level. So we got an increase in dermal thickness. There's an increase in moisture. There's a reduction in fine wrinkles. But what took me by surprise was I combined it with several other things. I combined it with marine-sourced collagen peptides, hyaluronic acid, and astaxanthin. By the way, factors largely lacking in modern life because we were wrongly told to cut our fat, cut our cholesterol. That there never was evidence for that as a means to reduce cardiovascular risk. But it caused many people that message, cut your fat and cholesterol. It caused many people to abandon consumption of organ meats rich in collagen and hyaluronic acid. And of course, carotenoids like beta carotene and lutein, zeaxanthin, and astaxanthin are largely lacking because most people eat too much garbage processed foods. So we eat all the carotenoids. So I added those things and put them together. And to my great surprise, not only did the skin improve dramatically, but the ladies in this study lost a dramatic amount of abdominal fat. And even more remarkably, did not lose weight, despite as much as 8.5 inches lost from their waist. Well, how can you lose as much as 8.5 inches off your waist, yet not lose weight? Well, there was an increase in muscle. And so that's consistent with the animal evidence also, and what we're seeing in real life with the yogurt. And that is a dramatic increase. So I gained 13 pounds of muscle, and my strength went up by 50% when I first started doing this.
Wow.
So what we witnessed by accident in a skin clinical trial was a dramatic shift in body composition, reduction in abdominal fat, a return of youthful muscle. Now that muscle, ladies say, well, I don't want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, don't worry, you won't look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Think of it this way. As we age, we lose about a third of our muscle mass, often more. That's why little old ladies and men, little skinny arms and legs, right? Well, we return to youthful musculature and strength. That's so important because it protects you from frailty, falls, insulin resistance, diabetes, heart disease, cognitive decline. So it's a great advantage to have more muscle, and it prevents weight regain.
Mm.
One of the big problems with modern methods of losing weight, whether it's cutting calories or pharmaceutical like Wegovy or Ozempic, those GLP-1 agonists, or even a bariatric procedure, is they all involve calorie reduction. Well, calorie reduction guarantees loss of muscle, and muscle is the primary determinant of your metabolic rate. So it's not uncommon to have a dramatic reduction in metabolic rate. So like the people in what's called the Biggest Loser study, these are participants in the TV show Biggest Loser, recruited by a National Institutes of Health, an NIH group. And they studied these people. So these people lost 50, 70, 130 pounds with a reduction in calories and extreme exercise up to several hours a day. But they lost a lot of weight, looked great. They go home, nearly all of them continued a low calorie intake and a moderate exercise program, yet regained all the weight, sometimes more. This group, this NIH group, studied them formally and documented a 27% reduction in metabolic rate, meaning you're burning less calories. So even though these people maintained a low calorie intake, which is misery, by the way, and an exercise program, they regained all the weight. And that's because they lost muscle. So we now have a way, I believe, to preserve or even increase muscle back to youthful levels and thereby prevent weight regain.
That's amazing. You know, that was something you stumbled upon. And from that, we all took advantage of the Super Gut course that we did together, and the book, of course, Super Gut, the book. It's a 4-week plan to help realize that, you know, there are certain things that we're doing to ourselves. We've bought into the low cholesterol, low fat, low everything diet. But you're saying basically that we want the fat. We want to eat healthy fats. So elaborate of what that would look like for someone who is wanting to reverse some of the aging signs of, you know, the puny little arms and the puny little legs and a bigger gut area.
So what I did was combine all the effects of rotary
Mhm.
with collagen by itself. So this thing largely absent from modern diets because of the nonsense we're told to cut fat and cut cholesterol. And by the way, there are very good ways, very effective ways to reduce cardiovascular risk. They have nothing to do with cholesterol nor statin cholesterol drugs.
Mhm.
That's the big tragedy of the whole world of low fat and statin drugs, is there really are things you can do
Mhm.
to reduce or eliminate cardiovascular risk, and they have nothing to do with cholesterol. So it took everybody's attention away from the real causes.
Of
But
course.
no, so that low fat, low cholesterol message caused people to abandon those sources of collagen and hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid is rich in brain and skin. I cringe, Lee, when I see people say, I'm buying boneless, skinless chicken breast. No, you've thrown away some of the best parts of the meat. So now most modern people say, I don't want to eat brain and heart and tongue and stomach and intestines and kidney. So you can get it in supplement form, of course. So, but collagen peptides alone have major effects on body composition. Collagen alone reduces waist circumference and increases muscle mass. Hyaluronic acid also decreases waist circumference and has a favorable effect on muscle. Astaxanthin, the carotenoid that comes from salmon and other orange colored shellfish and seafood, that has dramatic anti-inflammatory effects. So what we're doing with this combined thing is we're taking components we know have favorable effects on body shape and composition, put them together, and to my great surprise, we got a huge effect out of that very specific combination. But it's really a combination of things that have become absent from the modern lifestyle. Rotary, because we took antibiotics many years ago and it wiped out the rotary. Low fat, low cholesterol, we lost our intake of collagen and hyaluronic acid. And because of a highly processed fast food type world, the intake of carotenoids has dropped. But bring them back, things that you should have been getting all along, and wonderful things happen, including dramatic reduction in waist circumference and abdominal fat, a return of youthful muscle, and those things bring along a huge collection of other youthful characteristics.
And you bottled it up. You put it in a capsule, which is the wonderful thing. And for those of you who want to learn more about what Dr. Davis is talking about, there is a link in the description that you can click on, and it will take you to this product that has all these different ingredients, I guess, that you were talking about. And I have seen, there's a woman, I was telling Dr. Davis, there's a woman that I have known now for about 2 or so years. I met her for the first time at the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit. And to see her today, she started taking this product. And can I say the name? Gut to Glow? Can I say the name Gut to Glow? Okay, I just did. Anyway, so and again, the link is in the description for this. So look at the description, open it up, and click on the link, and it'll take you to this. And just this last week, So she did super gut with us. She started taking this, and every month I say to her, what are you doing? You look so good. And I've come to find out she's reversing backwards, aging wise, because she will be turning 75. And she looks younger now than when I saw her a year ago at the event. And so every time I ask her, what are you doing? And she gets this kind of like a little, like a little girl smile, and she says, got the glow. And so she's doing a really nice job. She's a great representation. You should have her as your poster child because she is really, really good. If you were to see before and afters, it's a totally different person. So it works. I've seen it in her, and I'm sure you've seen it in many others as well. So this, so it's interesting that in that all these ingredients would be taking away. And when I say ingredients, I'm talking about cholesterol, heart. They're telling us a certain thing that it makes sense to us because we don't know any better, but it's causing us to age early. So if we wanted to start the reversing process when it comes to our physiological age, what are some of the things that we can do that will help get us to become young again?
So getting Lactobacillus rhodori restored is a big advantage.
Okay.
Restoring those lost components.
And this product has that. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Collagen, hyaluronic acid, and astaxanthin, put them all together. But there's more people can do. One of the reasons why this works so well, I believe, Lily, is a lot of people have an overproliferation of unhealthy fecal species of microbes in their GI tracts. That's very inflammatory because those microbes release some of their components that get into the bloodstream, and that causes the process of insulin resistance, which causes weight gain, especially in the abdomen. It also causes weakness of muscle and erosion of muscle tissue.
Mhm.
And so the rhodori is very unique. Not only does it send a signal to your brain to release that hormone, oxytocin, which I call the hormone of body composition, but it also takes up residence very uniquely in the small intestine. So people think of microbes being in the colon, but rhodori takes up residence in the colon, but also in the 24 feet of small intestine, where it takes up residence and produces what are called bacteriocins, natural antibiotics, effective against fecal microbes. So rhodori brings back law and order into your GI tract. And when that happens, there's a reduction in insulin resistance. You're better able to release fat, especially from the abdomen. Now, another thing that people can do is avoid what's called glycation. And all that
Okay.
means is every time your blood glucose goes above 100, you are glycating proteins, your glucose modifying proteins. So if I have a bowl of oatmeal, say, which sends your blood sugar sky high, oatmeal is not heart healthy, by the way, it's nonsense. I have a bowl of oatmeal with no sugar added. My blood glucose goes from, say, 100 to 150, 160 in a non-diabetic, very common. In someone with prediabetes, um, it can go to 200, 250. In someone with type 2 diabetes, it can go to 300. So every time your blood glucose goes above 100, you glucose modify proteins in the body. That's an irreversible process. So if I glycate the proteins in the lenses of my eyes, I get cataracts. If I glycate the collagen all throughout the body, like skin and joints, is very glycation prone. And once your collagen becomes glycated, it's irreversible. So if I glycate the collagen in my knees and hips, it makes my cartilage brittle and it erodes and breaks down. And it gives me arthritis. If I glycate LDL particles in the bloodstream, that makes them much more likely to cause heart disease. If I glycate kidney proteins, it gives me kidney disease. So, and if I glycate the skin, the collagen in the skin, I get thinned skin and accelerated aging of skin. So, not glycate. Well, how do you not glycate? Well, don't eat foods that raise blood glucose. What foods are those? Wheat, grains, and sugars. Period. Not fat, not bacon, not pork fat, not butter, not olive oil, wheat, grains, and sugars, period. That is the foods that dietary guidelines tell us to eat more of. So we do the opposite. We eat no wheat, grains, or sugars. We never limit fat, of course. Also, we address nutrients that influence insulin resistance: vitamin D, magnesium, iodine, and omega-3 fatty acids. Put those four together, like the collagen and hyaluronic acid, those are largely missing from modern life. For instance, we have to filter our water. Water's filthy. If we got it from a lake or river, has to be filtered, but water filtration removes all magnesium. And those of us who live in northern climates get almost no vitamin D most of the year. So addressing those common nutrient deficiencies addresses insulin resistance, and that reduces blood glucose. You're thereby not glycating as much as other people. If you get your blood glucose into the ideal range, 60 to 90, when I say ideal range, I mean 24 hours a day. Whether you're fasting, whether you just had dinner, it should be 60 to 90. Unfortunately, my colleagues will say things like this: your blood glucose is fine as long as it stays below 200. What they're telling us is because you don't yet need insulin or drugs for your blood glucose, it's fine. Well, that's not the definition of health, the absence of need for insulin or diabetes drugs. So they're essentially telling us glycate like mad, accelerate the aging of all your organs, including skin and joints, and just call me when you think you need drugs for your blood sugar, which is, of course, nonsense. So we're going to follow a youth-preserving, youth-restoring path by also not glycating.
Wow. Okay, so this concept of glycation is probably new for all of us, because we've been told, even with that, you want your blood sugar levels to be at a certain level, but 60 to 90, is 60 too low for the blood sugar levels?
People used to think so until the continuous glucose monitors came out. Those are the devices you put on your arm or your abdomen,
Yeah.
and it shows blood glucose all throughout your day. And it's become clear 60 is perfectly fine. Now, people get confused. They say, well, my blood glucose drops to 60, and I get real shaky and foggy. I have to eat something sweet. That's a different situation. That's called reactive hypoglycemia. That reactive hypoglycemia only occurs with a preceding hyperglycemia. Those are people who say things like, I ate a bowl of ice cream. My blood glucose went to 205. Then when that happens, your insulin overshoots and your blood glucose plummets to maybe 60. That's where you feel shaky and foggy. That's a different situation. The solution to that is don't eat the ice cream.
No.
That caused the rise in the first place. But people will say, but my doctor says I have to drink orange juice or eat some candy. And then you get into this cycle. And so that's not the solution. The solution is to not allow your blood glucose to rise in the first place, and to address those common nutrients that enhance your insulin response, improve your insulin sensitivity: magnesium, iodine, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D. And by the way, the collagen also helps that. It helps reduce those rises in blood glucose, helps reduce insulin resistance. So there's something magical, Lily, that happens when you, rather than say take supplements, what we're really saying is let's restore the factors lacking in modern life that you should have had all along. And so we don't have to talk about side effects, don't have to talk about adverse effects. We can talk about unanticipated benefits like youthful skin, increased libido, deep sleep, so all these things develop when you start to address the factors that are lacking in modern life. And no need for pharmaceuticals, by the way. So many pharmaceuticals that are prescribed, there is absolutely no need for, once you understand how to restore health and youthfulness.
You know what? This is such a great reminder of the Supergut course that we did together. It's been a while since we've been able to come together, and it's like, let's put this in the front of our mind, so that we can kick off the year really well. And we're even talking about you coming to the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit, but that we haven't finalized that yet. But this is what I mean. We've been taught a certain way. a way of eating, a style or lack of eating. And cholesterol has been made the villain. But by taking cholesterol, taking that myth, you're saying that has changed our body and our body composition, bringing that back through meats and fattier foods that we've been avoiding and avoiding and avoiding. It will actually change our body composition. Have you seen someone go from a pear to a apple, or an apple to a pear? How does it work? How does it become, is that the kind of body composition you're talking about? Or are you talking about, muscle versus fat?
It's about all those things, Lily.
Okay.
So it's several important things to know. So if I cut my calories, by the way, nobody should ever reduce calories. Reducing calories is guaranteed failure,
Mhm.
Upfront success, long-term failure. So reducing calories, you might call it counting points or push the plate away or meal replacements. They're all variations on reducing calorie intake.
Mhm.
Or a pharmaceutical, regardless of the pharmaceutical, they're all the same in this effect, and bariatric procedures, whether it's gastric bypass or lap band, whatever. These are all methods of reducing calories. And what they do is they selectively cause loss of subcutaneous fat. That's fat beneath the skin, and less effective at reducing abdominal fat, abdominal visceral fat. It's abdominal visceral fat that is the key. That's the fat that encircles your organs, like intestines and liver, pancreas. That fat is the primary driver of insulin resistance, the process that causes weight gain. So why don't we address that first? Because when you do that, you lose abdominal visceral fat, insulin resistance recedes, and other fat, like subcutaneous fat, follows. There's also something that's only recently been recognized, Lily, and that is so-called ectopic fat. So when you have abdominal visceral fat, too much fat in your abdomen, you start to deposit fat in your joints and your heart around your coronary arteries, in your pancreas, in your liver. Everyone's heard of fatty liver. That's just one form of ectopic fat. And when you deposit, and in muscle too, by the way, and that causes dysfunction and weakness of your muscle. So abdominal visceral fat, ectopic fat. So if you have fat, for instance, in your knee, it accelerates the deterioration of your cartilage and gives you arthritis faster. So getting rid specifically of abdominal visceral fat is a huge advantage. You can't do that by cutting calories. You can't do that with pharmaceuticals. You can't do that with a bariatric procedure. You can do it with a boost in oxytocin and a reduction in those fecal microbes in your GI tract. So we're going to target specifically abdominal visceral fat. We will see subcutaneous fat follow, and we get a return of youthful musculature. So when I was a little younger, I was about 64 at the time. I'd go to the gym and I'd do lat pull downs. I hate going to the gym, Lily. I don't know about you. I can't stand going to the gym. So I go 15 minutes once a week. But I was doing lat pull downs of 130 pounds for 10 repetitions. When I did these things within 3 weeks of going to the gym once a week for 15 minutes, I was doing 200 pounds for 10 repetitions. The kind of weight I used to handle when I was in my early 20s.
Mm-hmm.
And so having that muscle return is a huge. One of the things I'm seeing also, Lily, is the people who gain the most muscle back are the ones who are more muscled when they were younger. So if you were an athlete, like a weightlifter or a shot put athlete or something that involved
Yeah.
more muscle,
Mm-hmm.
you'll get more muscle come back. If you were slender to begin with, not very muscled, you won't get as much. It's an odd phenomenon. So what I think it's doing is kind of reigniting atrophied muscle, but those muscle cells are still there. And that's exactly, by the way, what happened in the animal experiments. That is old mice given, in this case, oxytocin or lactobacillus reuteri,
Mm-hmm.
regain the musculature of youth. So little shrunken atrophied muscle cells came back, big plump muscle cells. And I think that's what we're seeing in humans who do this also.
That's great, because that is a huge telltale sign the posture and the loss of muscle as people get older. And so what I'm hearing you say is that this will all come back when you change the what you're bringing into your body. And once again, I will have the link to this product in my in the description. It'll be in the description with my thank you video. It'll be in the description in this video. And so I want you to let me know, is this something that is making sense to you? We've been told, Dr. Davis, that we must starve ourselves in order to be healthy. And what I'm hearing you say, that this is furthest from the truth. It's causing all sorts of other problems in the body. And by changing our lifestyle to incorporate some of these fatty organ foods. Now, if we don't want to do the fatty organ foods, then how does this product, how can it replace it? Or is it the changing the way we're eating plus taking this? Will we get the collagen from the animal fat? How does the transition happen naturally with food versus with a supplement?
You know, it's really tough in our time, Lily, to persuade someone to purchase brain or thymus or heart or tongue or liver. Some people accept liver as Braunschweiger or something like that. But most people just do, we've gotten so squeamish. You know, your great grandmother would go out and kill a chicken herself or slaughter a pig. But most modern people are so distant from all that it's very difficult for them to embrace this. And so we do turn to stuff. Now, ideally, you would go back to those things, but most people just don't want to do that. Some people have tried to do it with bone broth, that is taking bones, boiling them, and adding vinegar, which we now have 2 studies to show us that increases your lead exposure dramatically. So we don't do that. It doesn't sound very appetizing, but I tell people don't make bone broth, make carcass broth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you baked a whole chicken, you know, eat what you can, eat the skin, the meat, whatever organs might be included, and then take the remaining carcass that has tendons and ligaments and meat and other things and boil that. There's some bones in there too. Do not add vinegar. So people add the vinegar to mobilize minerals, but it also mobilizes lead, and you can get very toxic levels of lead in your bone broth. So don't do that. But when you do the carcass broth, there will be some lead, but much less, and don't add vinegar.
So when you're cooking the chicken or the whole roasted, whatever you're roasting, when you're cooking it, once it cooks, then you have less exposure to the lead in it once you put it in water again?
No, just because if you do the whole carcass and not using, you know, some people, when they make bone broth, they'll boil it sometimes like 36 hours and add vinegar. That's an invitation to expose lead. It immobilizes the lead stored in the bones. Lead acts like calcium. So where calcium goes, lead goes. And so it's in the bones. If you do the whole carcass and only boil it for maybe a couple hours, so 3 or 4 hours, and don't add vinegar, you will have a little bit of lead, but not as much as you get with bone broth. And so it's a way to get your collagen and a little bit of calcium, a little bit of magnesium, and some of the other nutrients out of the remains of that animal. But that's one way to boost your intake of collagen and hyaluronic acid. But most people, modern people, just too squeamish to do that. So that's why we have these supplements that you can do with the supplements instead.
Yes, absolutely. And these supplements, you can find them at whenyouneedafriend.com. Again, the link is below. You can go to the Shop Now bag, and then you will see the Oxyceutics logo, and that's where you click if you decide that you want to go there now and you don't want to wait until you get the link in the description. You can go there now. It's right there. And by the way, while we're talking about going to whenyouneedafriend.com, please, while you're there, subscribe and like and follow me on all social media. Make sure you share this video with everybody. Let them know that there is a way that people can start reversing the aging process by eating foods that we've been told not to eat, by taking supplements that promote the collagen in our body, that promote our body getting better and building muscle as well. So go check out my website. Again, please subscribe. Go check out my sponsors, support my sponsors the way that they're supporting the classroom. And then there's the Shop Now bag, and that's where you will find this little product. And it's got to glow. I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. And I have to tell you, my friend Pat, I am going to have her come on the show so she can show, or maybe her side-by-side pictures, untouched pictures, so that you can see how it's changed her. Her whole appearance has really changed. It's been remarkable to watch. And you can go to check out all my little Shop Now bag. You know, these are all Lilly approved products. And now that we are back into the year and we're starting the year, let's do it right by giving our body what it needs. So these are all Lilly approved products, and from head to toe, all natural. Most of the stuff is organic. And so you can just check it out. And then last but not least, remember, well, actually not last but not least, we have the Super Gut course that you can go to in the workshop section. We did a 6-week course with Dr. William Davis. It's amazing. All of us, we all learned so much with Dr. Davis. Also, just know that we have a scholarship. So for those of you who are interested in getting Dr. Lorraine Day's Book of Revelation and 100 Lessons from the Exodus, we gave one away back on December 21st, and so excited to give the book of 100 Lessons from the Exodus. We have on February 3rd, we're going to have the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit. I'm going to tell you that if you would like to get $24 off, enter code Lily001 and you will get $24 off your registration. So if you want to purchase a VIP ticket or regular admission, please act now and get your seat in the front row with us, because we're going to learn and grow together. We're going to start reformatting some of the things that we've been told are true as lies. And so we're going to be learning and growing together. So I hope that you will join us on February 3rd, 2024. And last but not least, you can become an enrolled student in the classroom. So whether you donate $1 or $1,000 a month, a one-time donation, a reoccurring donation of whatever it is, whether it's your time, your talent, or your treasure, all of it is so greatly appreciated. And I want to thank you in advance for giving generously to the classroom as well. So today we have Dr. William Davis. If you want to learn more about him, you can go to drdavisinfinitehealth.com. That's drdavisinfinitehealth.com to learn more about all his books, his series of books. Like I said before, Wheat Belly was the first one that came out, the Wheat Belly series. There's cookbooks. There's so many different things that you can enjoy. And then Undoctored, that's when I met Dr. Davis for the first time, when we did that together. And then many years later, the book Super Gut came out. And I'm like, okay, now let's start talking about the repair of our microbiome. By repairing our microbiome, how will that change our life, Dr. Davis?
It can dramatically alter life. So by my estimation, Lily, half the population, 50% of the population has small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, SIBO. Why would I say that half the Well, all we need to do is look at all the studies, several dozen of them, to ask this question. In condition blank, what proportion of people test positive for SIBO? Usually by breath hydrogen gas. Microbes produce hydrogen gas and we don't. So if we have release of hydrogen gas, it can suggest that there are microbes living in your GI tract and your upper GI tract based on timing. It's all about timing. So let's take IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. In IBS, what proportion can be expected to test positive? It varies from study to study, the population study and the method used, but it's about 40%. Well, that's 60 to 70 million people who have IBS. Well, that's about 24 to 28 million people right there. How about people with obesity? Well, there's about 115 million Americans with obesity. What proportion tests positive for SIBO? 50%. That's another about 60 million people. How about people with fibromyalgia? Well, there's 13 million people in the US with fibromyalgia. 100% test positive for SIBO. So add up all those conditions, as well as type 2 diabetes, fatty liver, neurodegenerative conditions, autoimmune conditions, restless leg syndrome, on and on and on. And you easily, Lily, easily exceed 150 million people with this. I wouldn't have believed it myself until that consumer device, the Air device, came out. I have no relationship. Here's the old one. Here's the new one. You blow into it. It registers on your smartphone, 0 to 10, and a rise of 4 units or more from baseline after consuming something that microbes convert to hydrogen gas, like inulin powder. Tells you whether you have SIBO. When I started doing this and started suggesting to people they test themselves with the Air device, I was shocked that very few people test negative. Almost everybody tests positive. Now, even better, we eradicated the SIBO. And by the way, we're doing it now with what I call SIBO yogurt, not with antibiotics. So if you go to the doctor and say, Doc, I think I have SIBO, and the doc says, no, there's nothing wrong with you. Get out of my office. Mm-hmm. Or did you consult Dr. Google again, Lily? Right? Or it has some other way, because they're not keeping abreast of the science. It takes a generation for practicing physicians to catch up to the science, because they weren't, if they graduated medical school, say 1995, they weren't educated on this stuff. And you're going to have to wait 20 to 30 years before they are. So we're not willing to wait. But so the doctors typically are not very helpful in this. So, but it's something you can do on your own. You can test yourself with the Air device. You don't need the Air device, by the way, to succeed at this. If you have one of those conditions I listed, where the likelihood of SIBO is so high, it's a safe assumption that you have SIBO. Mm-hmm. There are also other telltale signs, like all these people with food intolerances to legumes, histamine-containing foods, nightshades, all that stuff. That's all SIBO. Almost all of it's SIBO. So if you remove a food, it might reduce your bloating and diarrhea, but does not get rid of the SIBO that caused the problem in the first place. I see people with these long lists of food intolerances, and they do not have to have that. Get rid of the SIBO. And it's also important to get rid of that SIBO, because if you don't, bad things are ahead for your health. Weight gain, diabetes, neurodegenerative disorders like multiple sclerosis, and cognitive impairment. So you don't want to bury your head in the sand over this issue. So it's very important. Now we're eradicating it with what I call SIBO yogurt. It's not yogurt, of course. It starts with that same microbe, Lactobacillus rhodori. I added Lactobacillus gasseri, a strain of Lactobacillus gasseri, because those two, in particular, colonize the small intestine. That's where SIBO occurs. And they produce bacteriocins, those natural antibiotics. I threw in Bacillus coagulans, a strain of Bacillus coagulans. It makes the yogurt taste better, and it also adds to the bacteriocin production. And so far, Lily, of 50 people, this is anecdote, but 50 people who've done this, 90% test negative now by hydrogen gas. And even better, so they test positive at the start, they consume the SIBO yogurt for 4 weeks, they test negative, and they say, I finally broke my weight loss plateau. My hemoglobin A1C finally dropped. I finally got rid of my rheumatoid arthritis. My psoriasis got better on the diet. It's now gone, and I'm off all the drugs. In other words, with the normalization of hydrogen gas on the breath, or eradication of SIBO with the SIBO yogurt, we're seeing health problems, residual health problems go away.
You know, and we've done classes on the getting rid of the SIBO in our body, and we've done classes. So Dr. William Davis has his own name on my YouTube channel. So if you could find a playlist for Dr. William Davis, you'll find, if it hasn't been removed by YouTube, it'll be there. It'll also be in my BitChute account, and of course it's a lot harder to find it in Facebook, because you're gonna have to scroll down, and you can't do playlists in Facebook, but at least YouTube you can. So I just flashed in front of the yogurt, the SIBO cultured dairy, or the cultured. I did it with coconut and coconut milk, and let me tell you, it's still it's hit or miss for me. And so I'm just basically just going to take this because it's a lot easier when we travel. It's a lot easier to have the supplement, knowing that the products that are in there are good. So how did you come up with the combination of um, collagen versus rotari and astaxanthin? So how did you come up with the combination?
Just looking at things that we know independently, that is one at a time, have favorable effects on body composition, increased muscle, or loss of abdominal visceral fat. So collagen peptides actually has very good evidence that it increases muscle and reduces abdominal fat. Not a lot, maybe an inch or so in abdominal fat. Likewise, hyaluronic acid. One of the reasons why hyaluronic acid is so powerful, well, I know a lot of ladies will apply it topically, right, around their eyes, say. But what you're doing with that is, one, it's on the epidermis, and the epidermis is largely impenetrable, so you don't get much of an effect. You get a little bit of smoothing of wrinkles and moisture. Now, when you take it orally, it's distributed through the skin throughout the body. So you get better neck, arms, thighs, abdomen, skin everywhere, and of course, around the skin, around the face. And so, but the reason why hyaluronic acid taken orally is so powerful, it not only increases the water content, the moisture content in your dermal layer of skin, it also increases the joint lubrication in your knees and hips, the so-called synovial fluid, which is largely hyaluronic acid. It also moisturizes the vagina and cervix because, surprisingly, the uterus, vagina, and cervix are largely hyaluronic acid.
Mm.
But one of the reasons why it's so magnificently effective is because it's a fiber. People don't think of hyaluronic acid being a fiber because it comes from animal sources. Almost all fibers come from plant sources.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is an exception. Hyaluronic acid is a fiber sourced from animals, and it's magnificent for nourishing microbes in the GI tract. It nourishes very important species. I know no one likes these names, but species like Faecalibacterium and Akkermansia, very important. And what those species do when you feed them hyaluronic acid, they produce something called butyrate or butyric acid. Now, butyric acid goes all throughout the body and does great things. Reduces blood pressure, reduces blood sugar. This is from hyaluronic acid, Lily. So improves sleep, improves mood, and it goes to the skin and makes the skin a little more acidic. Healthy skin is mildly acidic, pH of about 4.5. Unhealthy skin, as in somebody with psoriasis, rosacea, eczema, seborrhea, acne, those people have less acidic and sometimes even alkaline skin, like a pH of 6 or 6.5. Recall that the pH scale is a logarithmic scale.
Mm-hmm.
So a rise in pH, say from 4.5 to 5.5, is a tenfold decrease in acidity. So getting your skin to be more acidic protects you from those conditions, and it discourages the proliferation of unhealthy skin microbes. So hyaluronic acid taken orally, not topically, orally, goes by way of the GI tract and microbes and yields skin benefits, a reduction in skin pathogens like Staphylococcus aureus, very common cause for skin infections. If we took somebody's rosacea rash, for instance, and cultured it, we'd find it full of Staphylococcus aureus and lacking the protective Staphylococcus epidermidis. So getting that hyaluronic acid shifts less Staphylococcus aureus, more Staphylococcus epidermidis because of the shift in pH. So this thing that ladies have been applying for years really is best. You can do both, but it's best taken orally. And it's massively underappreciated, Lillian, just how powerful hyaluronic acid taken orally can be.
You know what? I'm excited to start taking it again. I remember when I first started taking this product at the beginning. This is at the beginning when we first were talking about it. I was taking it for like several months, maybe about a month, and I noticed that my sleep was really good. My sleep became very, very easier, and it was very restful. And then I stopped taking it because I needed to test for SIBO. And then I didn't realize that it was the byproduct of this. When I stopped taking it, then I had issues with sleep. And so I thought, oh my goodness, there's so many different little benefits here and there that you just take for granted. So when it comes to the women that were in this trial, have you done any other trials? Are you taking this product and changing it in any way?
Yes, I actually have a whole long list of products I'd like to both formulate and validate via clinical trials. It's all about budget, Lily, to be honest. These are very expensive. We're not pharma. We don't have billions of dollars in our research budget. We have tens of thousands of dollars. And so we have to go slow and do it. I would like to, I have a formulation, for instance, that I believe reverses arthritis, osteoarthritis. I have a formulation that reverses, I believe, a lot of the phenomena of menopause, restores vaginal integrity, smoothness, sensitivity, moisture, increases libido, and also reduces the frequency of repeated urinary tract infections and urge incontinence, sneeze or cough and urinate.
Hmm.
So I have a formulation for that and several others, but we got to validate them, and that takes money. So that's why that's what we're doing here. What we're trying to do is selling products, developing unique, novel products to fund the research. You know, pharma is not interested in health. They have nothing to do with health. They're about generating revenues.
Hmm.
You know, why would you charge $1,500 a month for a drug to lose weight? $1,500 a month. By the way, I should tell your listeners that because it's a great time to be thinking about body composition because of the mess that the GLP-1 agonists are causing. So let's say somebody spends $15,000 over a year to lose 40 pounds by injecting Wegovy, say. So they lose 40 pounds, of which 10 pounds is muscle, and thereby they've reduced their metabolic rate dramatically. They stop the drug because most people can't afford that forever. They stop the drug after a year. So they lost 40 pounds, 10 of which was muscle. They regained 32 to 34 pounds, almost all of which is fat. That person is more likely to be pre-diabetic, more likely to become a type 2 diabetic, has increased risk for heart disease, dementia, cognitive impairment, breast cancer, and other conditions. They're less healthy at the end than they were at the start. Yet that's what pharma is doing. So they have nothing to do with health. I'm shocked that the FDA approved those drugs. They should not. Yet people are spending literally billions of dollars on those drugs. And by the way, one of the clinical trials I'd like to get done, though we have to have a pharmaceutical partner, is what if we combine what we're doing with the Rotary, et cetera, with the GLP-1? Will that prevent the muscle loss and thereby allow that person to come off the drug and not regain the weight? That's my
Interesting.
speculation, but I'd like to
Yeah.
see that clinical trial done.
That would be great. That would be great. Now, let me ask you, with the Ozempic, people that are diabetic, is it safe for them to take this if
Oh,
they're diabetic?
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
So, once again, what we're doing is restoring things everybody should have had all along. So everybody should have Rotary. But because we're overexposed to antibiotics and other things like glyphosate and herbicides and pesticides, et cetera, almost everybody's lost it. So we're restoring something you should have had. Collagen, something you should have been getting by eating heart and tongue and and liver. Hyaluronic acid, you should be eating brain and skin and other organs. But so we're just replacing things that are absent or lacking in modern life. And when you do that, so like vitamin D, you restore vitamin D, very powerful. It's no more dangerous than getting some sun. So that's the kind of things that I get involved with, restoring things that are largely lacking in modern life.
Yes. And you are the medical director of this product, right? So I just want to make sure, full disclosure, that you are the medical director. I've used the product. I know people that are using the product, and I'm using I'm going to start again because I was doing the yogurt. And so I believe that this will be a little bit easier for me to do. So I'm going to get back on it. And so I'm going to take some before and after pictures. So I'm excited to do this with you again because this is I remember getting started on it and then doing the super gut and doing the yogurt, but this is so much easier. This is going to be so much easier, honestly, because I choose to do the yogurt, the coconut cultures the cultured with coconut, as opposed to dairy, because I guess I have to get past the psychological. I've been told my whole life I was allergic to dairy. So to get past that psychological barrier, even though you say that even people that are allergic to dairy can do this cultured dairy, quote unquote yogurt, that's El Roterai yogurt or SIBO yogurt or whatever. So is there, we're getting to the end, and I'm just like, I just have so many different questions for you. We're just going to have to do part 2 like sometime when we get you, when you're ready to talk about the other product as well that is coming up. So I'll remember that if you're interested in this product, go to this video or the thank you video or any graphic that I have that has a description. Just look at the description, click on the link, and it'll take you to, so that you can learn about what is available for you, what is not available for you yet. But I'm excited, Dr. Davis. I want to thank you for reminding me once again of the importance and how much power we have in what we put into our bodies, and how we can actually reverse the lies that we've been told about nutrition. And so it's time to start doing things a little different at the beginning of the year, so that we can achieve something different towards the end of the year. So real quick, how quickly will people see changes in their body once they start changing their lifestyle to bringing these wonderful, for lack of a better word, ingredients? How quickly can you start seeing the
So
benefits?
different effects develop at a different timeline. So deeper sleep and more moist skin typically starts within the first week.
Okay.
The restoration of youthful muscle, you'll likely notice within about 3 to 4 weeks. An increased libido within the first few weeks, increase in testosterone in about 4 weeks or so. The skin effects, you'll typically see them at about 8 weeks or 12 weeks.
Okay.
It does, as you point out, help to have a selfie or have somebody take a photo, just because if the day-to-day changes are very subtle, it's hard to see them until you look back. Oh, I did.
It's really
you'll see.
easy to forget. It's really easy to forget. And so this is what I want to challenge all of you. If you decide to come do this with me, we're going to start together again, because now I'm recommitting to it. I would love for you to send me your before, and about 8 weeks from that point, I would like for you to send me your after, because I want to see the before and after, and I'll forward them to Dr. Davis so that he can start doing his photo album as well of success stories. So thank you, Dr. Davis, for being so wonderful and being a part of today's class. So thank you.
Thank you, Lily.
And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Dr. William Davis, wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job. Good job. You did remember. Good job.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking